I will call this meeting to order. And if you would, everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand, face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we'll do the roll call. Member Cortez.
Present.
Member Doshi. Member Flax.
Present.
Member Gonzalez.
Present.
Member Hom. Member Nam.
Here.
Member Westfall.
Here.
Member Wilson.
Here.
Okay, so we do not have a chair or vice chair, so we're going to pause for a moment and elect one just for this meeting tonight. So with that, I'd like to open the floor for a nomination for who would like to chair this meeting this evening.
I nominate Mel Cortez.
So we have a nomination for Mel Cortez and a second. Let's go through the vote. Member Cortez.
Aye.
Member Flask.
Aye.
Member Gonzalez.
Aye.
Member Nam.
Aye.
Member Westfall.
Aye.
Member Wilson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Cortez, if you could assume the role of chair and proceed with the meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Our first item on our agenda is our public comments. Members of the public may provide public comments for this meeting in person at the meeting or written as described below. And I believe we have written correspondence. So reading correspondence is just for us. So, any members of the public who would like to speak? We don't have any members of the public, so public comments is closed. Our consent calendar items on the consent calendar are our minutes. Approval of minutes for January 15, 2025 are part of the agenda. Can anybody make a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve.
I second the motion.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Anybody against? Any abstentions? Minutes are approved. 6-0. New and old business, item 6A. Review and consideration of the informational status reports on community safety matters, including crime statistics. I will start with our Captain Drew.
Thank you, Mel. So first, I'm going to start off with talking about department-wide statistics as far as crime goes. We have seen departmentally across the board in the county an increase in Part 1 crimes, especially in the months of January and February. These crimes include homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, including residential, and larceny and theft. If we can go to the next slide, we'll kind of take a focus here on Cerritos Sheriff Station in particular. So we're no different than the countywide. We've definitely seen an increase in some Part 1 crimes in January and February as well by month. If you look on that chart on the bottom right, we'll show you that the first two are January and February, the bars that are sticking up the highest. And so we go along the pattern with Los Angeles County. However, we're working on bringing those numbers down day by day as we go along here. If we go to the next slide, we can take a look at the residential burglaries in particular. This has been our main focus. As you can see over the past, well, this chart shows 15 years. There's been an increase in the last few years with residential burglaries as it relates to the 2020 year of COVID, obviously increasing from that point to where we are now. We continue to fight these by all the measures that we've implemented. And I believe we've seen the peak of it, and hopefully we're on the downward trend of that particular crime with residential burglaries right now. We've been pushing everything that we have forward with it and made multiple arrests. So if we can move to the next slide, which shows the residential burglaries. So if you look at the bottom right, it shows 40 for actual crimes for residential burglaries in the month of January. I know in the past we had the number of 30. However, this includes attempted break-ins as well. So that's where the numbers increase from on that compared to the 30 that have been shown on previous slides. That was the actual break-ins. This includes attempted. But you can see there that just like the rest of the county, we increased in the months of January and February. But if you look at the month of March, for the year to date, we're 10. So you figure if you look at those numbers at the trajectory for March, we should be below the previous 2 months on burglaries if we can keep holding how we are now. So we're trying to drive those numbers down with everything we've got. And I think we are going to start seeing that downward trend at this point in time. Obviously, I can't guarantee anything, but we've worked really, really hard at that. The city, the sheriff's department, and most of all, the community to bring those numbers down. If we can go to the following slide. So this is kind of a heat map to give you an idea of where the burglaries are occurring. We laid it out from the beginning of 2024 which is January 1st of 2024 to February 27th of 2025. Predominantly, they're happening on daytime. So between the hours mostly of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Obviously, most of the times when people go to work, so that's when these would-be burglars are cruising around looking for soft targets that they can hit and that seem vulnerable to them. So we have to keep that in mind, trying to harden targets when we are away from the home as well, right? So that we don't look like an easy target to be hit by the burglars. If we can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to give a couple of things, make a couple of mentions of some positive impacts that all the things that the city has implemented, as well as council and us as the sheriff's department, and what you guys have been doing more as citizens to help us with this. So recently we had an attempt burglary that occurred where we captured a gentleman's face in the camera using some facial recognition from the department. We were able to identify that individual. So we're working on that case right now. And then last night we arrested an individual for trying to burglarize the Cerritos Sports Complex. He broke in through the window and tried to make entry. He tried to make entry from the back door first, but then broke in through the front window. We apprehended the suspect at the location. So that suspect's in custody. And as I mentioned at the last council member meeting, on Edgefield Street, we in surveillance operation yielded the arrest of 4 individuals who broke into a resident's house over on Edgefield. That was on the 22nd of January. And in addition to that, on Heather Avenue, the 18,000 block of Heather Avenue, we also, with utilizing the airship, the helicopter, we were able to locate these burglars who just burglarized a house over there, followed them to South LA, formed a containment, and took them into custody. So those are some of the successes, along with the ones we've previously had, like the pharmacy suspects that we've taken into custody. We've also been really focusing, and I applaud Neil Wendland and the guys in the motors have been really hitting the area across the street from Liberty Park and Morning Sun with a bunch of citations here for tinted windows and other vehicle code violations that we're really enforcing letter of the law on now in those particular areas, since we've seen patterns and the neighbors have expressed the fact that these vehicles are having tinted windows and paper plates. So we're doing a lot of enforcement in regards to that in those particular areas to try and deter any criminals that might be hanging around the area trying to burglarize houses. With that, I can give it to back to Daryl or to Neil for the traffic report.
I have one comment
Sure, Mel.
before it goes to traffic. I noticed this month of February, so far, based on crime mapping, there are only 4 home burglaries. And today's the 18th, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yes, Mel, and everyone's been working really hard, and also the weather plays a somewhat of a part of that with all the rain and the weather. But hopefully, we can just keep up the good work because I think we're heading in the right direction, and we're all working together in everything we've got. I know you guys are too, as the community. So we do appreciate that, and council has given us the tools and supported us along the way. So hopefully, we can get this under control.
Thank you. So now we have our traffic report.
All right, thank you. Traffic index was 18.4 last month. Traffic accidents did go up slightly by about 2% overall compared to last year, that is, but the injuries went down. So that's probably a positive. The trend of accidents inside of parking lots or private property is still there. And again, our problematic intersections, I even drove out to one of them last week, Gridley and South. There's just so much traffic that goes through there. I didn't really see anything off the wall as far as driving goes. I just think it's the amount of vehicle traffic going through there. A couple cell phone stops I made, warning people about their cell phones. And failure to yield and unsafe turning or unsafe lane changes are our top priority right now. And that's it for me.
I have a couple questions. Does anybody have any questions about for traffic?
Yeah, you said you warned people about cell phones. You don't, is it a violation?
Oh, it's a violation, but we had the option to give a warning or not. I give warnings.
Okay.
I have a
Ron,
question
can you
about.
take a, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Evans.
If you just take a moment to explain the graph on the bottom on this chart here, so people at home may understand that, where the short orange line, if you would, is impact traffic collisions, followed by non-injury, and then the gray bar is the hazardous sites that are written to try to mitigate those things. If you could just take a moment to explain traffic index ratio.
So obviously it's labeled out there. The orange part is for the injury collisions that we have every year. Total is right now this year is 128, which is pretty consistent to other years. Non-injury is down from last year. And this is a 6-year graph dating all the way back from 2020. And it kind of shows the levels of yearly wise is what we'll see overall as traffic goes, non-injuries, injuries, and as far as the traffic index, citations to traffic collisions overall. And we're pretty much on par again. Our citations are up this year so far. Hopefully that's a plus. Captain Strong has us really hitting the no plates and the tinted windows right now to try to mitigate any kind of people coming down here to look to burglarize their houses. And that seems to be the trend. Tinted windows, no plates. So we're going by a letter of the law for the most part. The traffic guys did stop a couple of people that lived on a street with tinted windows and opted to give them a warning.
Anybody else has a question? The committee? I do. In the past, we used to get 2 months of traffic reports, and I believe in the past few months, we just get in the previous month. Like right now, we don't have January. I think before we started the new format, we just get one report. I don't mind, but I want to continue with one, or are we able to receive the 2 traffic reports?
I can answer that. So since we meet every other month, the second one, let's say February, it includes the data in January. So you would have one for January and one for February, but February, it's progressive. So if you had one in March, it would include January, February, March, and so on. So we just found that it was to have the one report that accumulated all the data in it. So you didn't have to switch back and forth. But they are produced monthly, and so if you'd like to have 2 reports, we can certainly accommodate them.
I think consolidated is fine. If, less paper. I have another question about traffic. I think the last meeting I asked about this. I have a couple pictures right here for street takeovers, and I have a couple pictures for you right here. And from you. The last time I mentioned that in the city of Compton, we have There, I think on Rosecrans and Alondra and Long Beach Boulevard, they used to have a problem with street takeovers. The top picture right here on the picture is Artesia Studebaker from last weekend. So you see what happened right there, and I'm not sure how nice that looks, or if it's possible to have something similar in the city for places that have issues with street takeovers. I'm not sure if it works. I know the city of Compton installed this, but I'm not sure if that works or he has been working to deter street takeovers.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Mel. I can definitely get a hold of Captain Terrence Bell of Compton Station and inquire with him how much success they've had regarding those. I did work there for quite a while. I know they have some issues down there off of Victoria where it borders up with Carson in that industrial area. They definitely have some issues with some street takeovers over there. Also off of Figueroa for Century's area, they have street takeovers. But we'd have to look into that. I'm sure it'd be something that, you know, if the city wanted to go forward with that, they'd have to do a survey on it and, you know, see what the effectiveness is. But I could start by calling over there and seeing how effective it is, see if they've had any success.
Thank you.
If I may add to that, so the process would be the sheriff's department would evaluate it, make a recommendation that hey, we find value in that, and then it would be referred to the city, which would ultimately refer it to the Public Works Department, because they're responsible for all the streets, whether it be a traffic study or they'd make the call there. But I know also from the past, you have to be very careful about putting anything in the streets because of motorcycles and, you know, there's different things out there you don't think about, particularly when they get wet. The dots are there, but they're also noisy. Occasionally we get complaints here in the city with our beautiful intersections that are pavered, but they do make a lot of noise, and some people commented about that. So anything that goes in the roadway. Now, if there's a particular intersection and they're always there and the car clubs meet there all the time, we'd look strongly at denying that intersection. I can't think of any place within the city that repeatedly happens. We do get car clubs here, as you know. We've had them along Artesia and up in the industrial area, but not routinely. It's rare. So that balances out between, you know, impacting the street and then what we're trying to do. But we can certainly wait for the sheriff's recommendation and then refer it to Public Works to get their opinion as well, then report back to the committee.
Thank you. Any other questions for traffic officers?
As far as traffic citations, are vehicles allowed to have the tinted cover on top of their license plate?
No, anything obscuring the plate, they're not allowed to have on there.
So if I see a few, is that something I could report or just take a photo of it and they get a ticket by mail? How does that
So
work?
we wouldn't just go out and parking. They can get a parking citation for that, I believe. But if you call us out there and to physically cite the driver, we couldn't do that. So are you talking about a parked car you see? Is that what you're asking?
I just
see
see them
park-
driving around.
Or if you're just driving around the streets, you're more than welcome to call us and say, we got this license plate cover I'm following in front of, and we'll send a motor or available unit over there. Of course, yeah.
Or if it's a suspicious vehicle, you know, based on what we've had recently going on, if you feel like that vehicle is suspicious and scouting or, you know, capering around the neighborhood, and in addition to that, it has something covering the license plate, feel free to call us. We'd be more than glad to go check out the vehicle. You could call us and say, hey, there's a license plate covered with tint. Very unlikely by the time we get there that car is still going to be, if it's mobile, it's still going to be in the same spot. So it'd be very hard to locate that. But definitely if it's something that you find suspicious that's casing your neighborhood, that you believe might be casing your neighborhood or involved in any crime for that matter, you know, go ahead and give us a call. We'll be more than happy to go check it out. And at the very least, run the plate, make sure that the car is legitimate. And if there's a reason to stop the car, like the tint over the license plate, then we'll perform a traffic stop and investigate further.
Thank you.
And anybody else? Our last meeting, I asked about citations and revenue. And how is there a way we could have a report on how's the citations revenue share with the county and the city? And part of the city's revenue, how is it spent? Is there a way to do that in the future or agendize it?
I'll be happy to answer that, sir. So the citations are issued, they go to the court, there's established fee. We do get a report from the city. The city gets a portion of that. The percentages change, and there's various fees attached to those citations for processing, court security. I believe the last time I looked, the county had 4 or 5 or 6 fees attached to those citations. So at the end, what I'd like to say is that each one does have a percentage. We can get that for you, and it's just a math problem. So this citation is X amount of dollars, and the percentage would go to the county, would go to the state, would go to the courthouse, would go to the city, and then we can just extrapolate what the fees are. But we do track that because the court sends us the dollar amount, and then we make that deposit into our accounts. And so I can get that for you next time, absolutely.
All right, thank you. I think now we have to receive and file the report. We need a motion to receive and file the report.
I'll make a motion to file the report.
Do you have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
All those in, it was moved by Ms. Wilson and seconded by Mr. Gonzalez to receive and file the reports. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody against? Abstentions? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to our safety manager's report. Mr. Evans.
I will call upon Community Safety Officer Mark Smith to provide his report on the Neighborhood Watch.
Hi, thank you, guys. Neighborhood Watch is a program that you, the residents, have to make work. It's a joint with the Sheriff's Department, the city, and residents, but it does not work without participation. The graph here will show last year's burglaries that we had. As you can see, there's still a lot of red, which means people are not doing the recommended things. So what I can say to you guys is just because, say, Mel has his house all set up, the neighbor may not. So we need to spread the word. Most of you are doing really well. I know your group and Karen's group do a real well job at selling that fact. But we do need more of the people to follow along. Operation Nightlight, follow all the stuff that we're putting out. Particularly even, most of ours are daytime burglaries. As you can see, 55% at the daytime, only 25 at night. 20 unknown are usually people on vacation, so, they could fit into either category. But again, this is just our, just a gaze for us to look and see what's going on. I know from driving around last month for the homeless count, I was amazed at how many people don't have a light on at night. Still, after we've been, everybody's been pushing forever. So, kind of pass the word on. Let's, get that out there that they're there. This is the last 2 months. As you can see, not much has changed from last year as far as our, everything in the red. We still don't have a lot of people exterior light on, which I just talked about. Interior lights on, vehicle and driveway. We're starting to get even with cameras. Everybody's doing real well with cameras. I noticed your neighborhood's got cameras all over. And as I've been driving around in the different areas, I'm also still amazed at how many residents don't have even just a doorbell camera. So if we can get the word out to do these things, it will help mitigate the burglaries that are happening. Because the deputies can only do so much. They need our help. And that means doing these little things that we ask of you to really slow them down. Because we know it slows them down. So as far as our Neighborhood Watch meetings, I've had 3 in the last 2 months. I have 3 scheduled for Saturday and another 2 coming up in the next month. So we're doing really well at getting people together. A new group just formed over in Edgefield where the sheriff's department made an arrest. I've taken them a bunch of vests. I've been driving around there the last few days. Every day I'm in there, somebody's walking around. The same thing usually when I'm in Mel's neighborhood. I see somebody walking, driving up and down all the streets over there. So get everybody out, be visible, and start meeting. All you got to do is one of the groups has had a meeting. They just did it on their own. They didn't even say anything, and then showed me what had happened. And now they're meeting again this weekend. So keep your meetings going. I'll help you facilitate as much as I can.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions for Mr. Smith? I did have a neighborhood watch meeting last Saturday for a group. I think you did it before last month, I think, and they wanted another one. So I went on by 195th and Greeley. So it was good. They just wanted to hear different perspectives. So, and also I noticed that we're getting more captains from different areas.
Yes, we're actually finally picking up, but we always need more. So always recruiting, and I know the two people on the committee are always recruiting. So the more, the better.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Just a couple quick comments here about emergency preparedness. Take a look at the screen. It's a reminder of the recent fires here and the traffic and the other disasters that have happened. We've seen earthquakes, we've seen fires, we've seen floods. It still goes on. The world's a pretty tumultuous place right now. And it's just a reminder about being prepared for emergencies. Here's some photos about what happens. I've had a friend who went through the floods in North Carolina, and they were talking about how it took over a day to get some fuel. They were limiting it. If you're old enough, you remember back in the days when fuel rationing was going on for your car. You had to wait in line, and they went for every other license plate. So if it was even day, you could do it. If it was an odd day and you had an odd plate, you could do it. But it just comes back to you're going to wait. Even when they went to the bank, even though they are doing well, the bank would not issue any more than $1,000 per customer, no matter how much money you had, because there was a run on the banks as well. And that's why you always want to have some money in the cash. Always want to keep your car fueled up so that you don't go through this. And it's just a reminder to have your emergency supplies there. The picture on the left happens to be the side of my house. Got two 50-gallon water containers there. You can see them covered so the sun doesn't reflect directly on them. And then the small pictures of them uncovered. That's for two people. That's 40 days of water right there. I also have, if you store water like that, there is water stabilizers you put in there. You can keep it there 5 years. Doesn't cost anything. 5 years from now, I will water my plants with that and then fill it back up. But it's always available. And of course, if you're going to be storing water, or even if you have water after an earthquake, it's always good to have a good water filter. There's an example of a high-end water filter there that works really well. And on the top right, you can see freeze-dried food. This just happens to be Mountain House. There's many providers out there, but they actually taste really good. I have a lot of them for when you're camping and light food. But the main thing is they stay stable for 25 years. And so you can purchase them, put them in sealed cans, and keep them in your house for up to 25 years. And of course, you always want to have a good, robust medical kit as well, in case somebody gets hurt, because the fire paramedics are limited, and if you go to the hospital, they're going to be prioritizing on who needs the greatest attention. So it's just a reminder that don't wait for the emergency to occur and have to go wait in line. The best time to get ready for the emergency is before it actually occurs, and this is just a visual reminder of that. With that, concludes our presentation. On our reports, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions from our members?
Daryl, a number of years ago, the city handed out large barrels that you could fill up with water and put some chemicals in it, but it was quite a long time ago, probably at least maybe 10 years ago. And I still have it in my garage. So is that no longer potable water?
I will have to check with Public Works. You're right. The city used to offer them. They ordered the 50-gallon drums
Right.
with chemicals to put into the water so that it was safe. But and they made them available to the public when they were done. I have not seen that for a very long time, as you mentioned, but I will look into that and get back to the committee. I'll send you an email and then report back during the next meeting as well.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it's still any good or it has to be emptied and refilled.
Oh, the water that you put in it?
Yeah. Well, it's full of water
Yeah.
and with chemicals in it that was supposed to last a certain amount of time. And it's still sitting in my garage. We never used it. It has a little pump on top of it.
And so I'm not sure what setup you have, but I can tell you this, water never goes bad. Water has been on this earth for a long time. There's no new water coming onto this earth. Whatever's here is here. It gets obviously filtered through earth and rain and purified. But the point of the story is water never goes bad, but it can become contaminated. And so that's where you want to have your good filters. So if you put a water stabilizer in it, it's usually good for 5 years. It has to do with aeration and oxygen in the water. You know, it'll taste different if it's in storage for a very long time. But if it's in storage and it's in a cool place and it has the stabilizer in it, which keeps bacteria, moss, again, depends on, how you're storing it. You want to keep it in a cool place. You also want to keep it out of direct sunlight. And that's why I had the covers on mine and I put it on the shadow side of my house. But yeah, water will never go bad as long as you filter it. And if worse comes to worse, you filter it, boil it, and it'll still function as H2O or water. So
Yeah. Okay.
hopefully that answers your question. You don't need to pour it out, but again, every 5 years I refresh mine.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions for members? I have a couple. Is there an update on phase 2 of license plate readers?
I'm sorry, one more time. Update on the license plate readers?
The phase 2, yeah.
Yes.
'Cause I think it was originally was February, March. I'm not sure.
Yes, it got moved back, but yes, there is an update. So originally there was a delay because Motorola didn't have those cameras in stock. They do have them now. So a couple days ago, I got an email from the Sheriff's Department saying that they are now in possession of all the cameras that we ordered for phase 2. The next process is they're going to come out and look at the actual installation spots to make sure that they are ready for installation. So we'll be notifying our public works to make sure that they have electricity, there's no branches in the way, just that it's suitable. And once that's deemed that it's suitable and there's electricity, then the Sheriff's Department will come out, install those cameras. So it's a matter now of just installing them. And so we do have them. So we're moving forward.
Thank you. Some more community has been asking about update on. We have 3 security patrols right now, private security patrols. But I know there was mentioned that possible 24/7. Is there any talk about having 24/7 security patrols?
I'm in the process of preparing an agenda report for council to speak about the advantages and the funding and the cost associated with that. And so that will be an item for discussion when the agenda report is presented to council.
Thank you. And how about the video cameras rebates? I know it was approved, $40,000 for rebates for residents, up to $200.
Yes, that is under development. What we're waiting for is the IT program that runs it on the back end so that when you can log on, it's seamless. We don't have the program that will actually support that yet. That's one of the tasks that's been given to our IT group, and they are working on that now. And as soon as that's up and running, we'll be able to launch that to the public.
Okay. And there was another one. Let me see. This probably also part of on your side. Someone asked, and I probably know the answer, but they want me to ask: is there a way to request the mobile LAPR card?
There is. They can send me an email. It is mobile. Right now we have it deployed in the same spot. We're using it right now as a test to see if there's any value in it. If we move it every couple of days, we won't really know whether it has value. So we were going to leave it there for at least a month and a half to see if we actually saw a reduction in crime. If we just do it for a very short period of time, we wouldn't be able to determine those patterns. So as soon as the test is over and we can say, hey, this works really well, let's keep it. Because we do rent it, we don't own that, but we rent it because we're looking to see if it has value. And if so, then the city would consider perhaps purchasing or renting another one. So yes, just send me an email and we'll start the list. Right now, there is no list. So if they send it right away, they'll be first on that list.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions because I asked community and they asked me questions to try to bring up. So, okay, that's all from the questions I have right now.
If I may just add on the request, so it's not just a matter of requesting it. Also, that'll be referred to the sheriff's department because we were going to put it in the high impact areas. So, if there was a particular street that's never had a problem and it's small and it's a cul-de-sac with a limited number of houses, that's probably not where we would deploy that.
Prioritize.
We create a heat map, Mel, for the city, and what we'll do is we'll place it accordingly where we're having a lot of burglaries and where it's going to be most effective, naturally.
Okay, thank you.
If I may just add one thing that was skipped over here in the beginning is that we did receive one written correspondence to the safety committee, and that was from a resident who was suggesting that the city embrace crime prevention through environmental design and have the city's experts, if you will, made available through appointment to come out and take a look at their businesses or their homes to offer suggestions for crime reduction. And of course, we can do that through Mark Smith, who's the city's CSO, but as many of you know, he's also a retired deputy sheriff, so he's very well qualified to perform that service. So that's available right now. The other suggestion was to establish a real-time crime center here in Cerritos, the same as Lost Hills or Agoura Station. So that's something that we would consider.
And to piggyback on that statement, we do have a couple of deputies that just passed the drone test this last Friday. So we're setting them up to attend our Special Enforcement Bureau one-day training. And after they complete that course, they'll be able to fly the drone. So we're hoping to have that sooner than later, well on the way to that.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Evans?
No, sir, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Now we have our, we're going to item number 7, reports from our safety members. Ms. Wilson?
Lately, our neighborhood's been pretty good. We are planning on having a neighborhood watch meeting on April 29th, Tuesday, 6 p.m. For our neighborhood for Zone 54. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Westfall?
I'd just like to thank Naresh Solanki for appointing me to the safety committee, and it's been a pleasure serving with everyone.
Ms. Nam?
I just wanted to share, and I was on the ride-along when we had the gentleman shot in the riverbed, and I'm just really grateful that they arrested the suspects. And I think it's true, we all have to do our part in helping to deter and help solve these crimes. And I'm ready to help. Thank you.
I just want to piggyback on that real quick, if you had just a second, Mel. I'm glad you got the opportunity to do that. I encourage anybody who's interested in doing a ride along, go ahead and call the station. We'll set you up for a ride along. You can really get a feel of to walk in their shoes for a little bit of how, mind-boggling it can be to respond to something like that and how many decisions that you have to make in a very short period of time that can have some major effects, So I appreciate you coming out to do that, ma'am.
Thank you. It was absolutely a great experience. And I think a lot of the residents that do have a say, and not to use the word complain, but they really need to have a feel of what it is to be on the other side. Thank you.
Mr. Flax?
Yes, I just want to say that it's been a pleasure to be on this committee for all these years. This may be my last meeting to attend. And I just want to say that I got my wife interested in the Neighborhood Watch, so she's a Neighborhood Watch captain in a little cul-de-sac that's in Cerritos, but surrounded by La Palma. We back up to the creek, and we have a good system going. She sends out the notices. She sends out all the notices to all the people in our cul-de-sac when somebody goes on vacation, and sends the messages you send to her onto the neighborhood. And we haven't had much crime there. Maybe because it's a cul-de-sac, and maybe because people have their lights on, and a lot of them have alarms, and we take care of each other. And that was due to me being at the meetings and becoming aware of what you can do to reduce crime. So thank you, Daryl.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, just one comment. Just like to say, with this being the last meeting with the current appointments, thank you, fellow committee members, for your dedication and coming to meetings. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And from here, this might be our last meeting. I think we were appointed, some of us 5 years ago, some of us 10 years ago. So it's always good to help our community and in different ways. So those of you that are stepping down, let's continue in a different way to help our community to stay safe. I'm not sure, maybe I think this through the safety office. I've been thinking about having, so we're trying to do something like this in my tract, Neighborhood Watch area. But how about a citywide safety fair? I know we do bring some of the safety information during the night out day, the park, but a safety fair for the city. We could invite people from Neighborhood Watch, have vendors from videos, windows, alarms, signs, all kinds of safety things that we could have, and sponsored by the city. And then we bring the people, because we're always looking for vendors for buying the latest things that we have to keep our home safe. So I'm not sure who I could talk to see who could organize. It'll take months or maybe a year, but something that to serve the community. So that's one thing that maybe I'll talk to you, Mr. Evans, more about this. For the, I mentioned that I participated in a Neighborhood Watch meeting with a new group, and I also met a few people here last week at the council meeting that they were they have been robbed in the area. So I met them and I talked to them about our Neighborhood Watch captains group, and they're the captains from the area, so I added them to their group. So right now, in our Neighborhood Watch captains group, we have 53 captains, not members from neighbors, all captains. Each captain has their own group. Maybe some of them have maybe 10, 20 people, some have 50, some have 100 or more. So I estimate we have about, with those 53 captains, we could reach about 5,000 residents easily. Yes, the way we communicate, and we're always sharing information, sometimes too much, but we're keeping our community informed through Neighborhood Watch. So we're gonna continue with this and try to help our sheriff and our city to stay safe as much as we can. So that's all from me. And anybody else has anything? Do we have any members of the public that weren't here before? I would like to make a comment. If not, then we'll adjourn our meeting at 8:45. Thank you, everyone.